Hey, welcome to Mullen Stock. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads. And also remember that this is not a financial advice video. I'm going to go over some of the data points that happened with Mullen today, some of the latest updates and everything that you need to know. So today there was no tentative news from Lawrence David LLC, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. And because of obviously the inconsistent stories between Lawrence and also David, this is where investors are getting very much hurt as a result. And so currently it did go down, or I guess it closed 14.57% new 52-week, an all-time low of 50.6 cents. Absolute craziness. And even if you look here, just one month alone of Mullen, it has gone down 65%. That is insane. Over the last 6 months, down 89%. Year to date, 93.56%. This is definitely going to go down in the record book. Either going to be one of the biggest comebacks of all time or going to be one of the biggest fails. Obviously, David had his interview. He said his piece on obviously his interpretation, and Lawrence said his piece. And you can kind of boil it down to very simple stuff. Lawrence wants money. He feels he is entitled to money. David feels that he wants testing done. And unfortunately, based on what Lawrence did for testing, that wasn't sufficient to obviously the terms and conditions of the agreement. So in reality, it kind of seems very simple, and in reality, can be very much easily kind of handled by a mediator, and not necessarily through lawyers. Lawyers are going to be benefiting from this. In reality, they're probably going to be the ones benefiting. Number one out of anyone, including Mullen shareholders, David, Lawrence, the lawyers are probably going to be making the most in reality, which is very sad. But again, definitely this is something that can be very much resolved by just acting like men. My own interpretation, not financial advisor. But as far as to add to the overall drama, so once again, you might see a little bit more additional kind of back and forth, maybe in the future, who knows, right? Obviously, Lawrence likes to use social media to his benefit. He does get a lot of followers, whereas David is kind of a little bit more restricted. He doesn't really like to clearly get involved with this drama. And it's just when a lot of things obviously inaccurate misinformation, as what he stated in the interview, that's when he wants to step up and correct those. But you kind of have a little bit more of an uneven weightedness. Because of course, Lawrence, as what he has done in the past, has a lot of influence on the stock price. So it's one of those things that Mullen investors, I think, are stuck right now, because in general, we really do. Especially over the last week and a half, I could tell that a lot of investors have been stepping away from Lawrence in this full LLC and focusing once again on the fundamental business, fundamental operations, and just production, things like that. What a typical company such as Mullen would do. But now Lawrence has kind of resurged, and like I said, he clearly wants to say his piece overall, and how he's been silenced by David. So now I'll give you guys a quick overview of some of the data points. So it is kind of sketchy. So this far down it is unknown territory. So based on the fib levels, the next support level in theory would be the 50-cent mark, because that's more of a psychological support zone and coincidentally kind of bounced off of that general range. But outside of that, it'd be more so the whole number. So most likely around the 40, 30 and so forth. Again, that's just my guess because typically whenever you're doing technical analysis, you like to look at previous data to try and forecast what is potentially coming. But we've never been this low. So again, I think we're at maybe $0.01 or even a lot less. Like it's just crazy, and obviously that's pre-split. So once again, you kind of just have to make sure you guys do your own due diligence. And if you do believe in Mullen bigger picture, then yeah, take advantage of these discounted prices, especially considering based on what David did say, he anticipates a rocky road, but he wants to be number 2. So right below Tesla. So that's pretty ambitious, but definitely with a market cap currently of $113.04 million, you could potentially stand to make a lot of big money. So that's just my own interpretation. That's if obviously Mullen becomes number 2 and over and above that stochastic is very, very low. So currently at 4, very oversold. So if there is a good piece of news that does come out for Mullen, without any strings attached, this is where you could see a little bit more of a rush from value investors. Momentum indicator just shows number of retail investors have been getting out. So they are tired of the drama, which in reality I kind of don't blame them as well as far as options activity. So there was $170,000 in call premiums that was done today versus $113,000 in puts. So clearly, based on this, people are anticipating it to go up, And most likely that is just shorts hedging their bets. But still, there has been a lot more puts being purchased over the last, let's say, week and a half. So that definitely is concerning, especially considering if you were looking at this, the options chain, the lowest strike price is $0.50, basically where we are at. So if someone is buying puts, they're really betting that it's going to stay below 50 cents. And of course, that's just up to their own interpretation. When it comes down to options, this does not move the stock price. It is just merely a sentiment. But over and above that, though, I just want to give you guys a quick overview. For instance, of short. So short score is currently 83. Utilization is at 100%. They did surprisingly return some shares. So, like I've said, I think there's been a couple of cases like this. What has happened today over the last 6 months? And this is a very good telltale sign that sentiment has been just completely destroyed. The fact that we can go down 14.57%, but yet shorts are able to return 2.62 million shares. It clearly goes to show that there is absolutely no buyers out there. And coincidentally as well, that's exactly what the momentum indicator does show. And based on this, there's no big money that's been buying. So clearly they're able to shorts are kind of just running the show. Unfortunately, 18.14% of the free float's being shorted. As you can tell, it is no longer on the threshold list. So again, that's something for you to factor in. 38.23 million shares overall is being shorted, and cost to borrow has gone down a lot over the last little bit. So 145.22% is obviously the average. And again, this is definitely something you need to factor in because shorts are going to be most likely getting in and out until there is either some news that does come out, whether it be just Mullen-specific operational news, most likely around the M1 production. That would be ideal. Or just maybe Lawrence and David coming to a conclusion as far as their actual agreement. Because I do believe as it stands right now, let's say they cancel the tentative deal. I do believe that Mullen would be losing that $50,000 that they did pay Lawrence, but they don't get the technology. Lawrence gets to keep that. So that's just my own interpretation. I could be wrong about that. So let me know your thoughts on that. And generally speaking, what is your take on Lawrence and David? Is that just too much drama? Guys, that's all we have for you today. What is your opinion about Mullen stock? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.